A very good morning. I'm back. Welcome to K24 This Morning. My name is Jeff Mote. Of course, every single day we look at the big stories across your headlines, but also have pertinent conversations on issues affecting the country and really looking at which way to move forward as far as these particular conversations are concerned. We love it when you're part of these conversations. You can get me at I am Jeff Mote on Twitter or at K24TV. The WhatsApp number always scrolling at the bottom of your screen. And what we do, if you're joining us for the first time, we look at the front pages of our dailies and then from there get to our topic of the day. By the way, if you haven't gotten yourself a copy of your People Daily, you can get it straight to your phone wherever you are across this country, and the number that you dial is *544#. And what you do is once you dial this particular number, you get yourself a copy of your PD straight to your phone. It's brought to you by the People Daily and Safaricom, and it's only 10 shillings. And the thing about it is that it's hassle-free. No need for you to download an app. You don't need data on your phone, but it's brought to you straight to your phone for only 10 shillings every single day. And it's all courtesy of the People Daily and Safaricom. As you download your e-paper this morning, the headline that will be greeting you is Uhuru rules out BBI talks with Ruto. That's what they're saying front and center. DP calls for consensus for the sake of unity, but the president says since the public gave their views, the leaders have no locus to start tinkering with the proposals. So the constant request for more consensus building, Mudavadi had also spoken about having a different committee looking into these particular issues, has been ruled out, at least as far as this particular story goes. You can get this story on the front page of your PD as well. It's on page 6 and 7 in detail as well. You can get the details of that particular story right there. And as we look at that also, right next to it, a statement from William Ruto, we can agree on the contentious issues on BBI so that we can move the country forward. They've been calling for an uncontested referendum, and let's see how this plays out as they are done with Naivasha. Also on the front page of the PD, a timeline of what should happen and next as far as the BBI report is concerned, from submitting it to the president all the way to the IEBC holding a referendum within the stipulated legal timelines. You can get that in your copy of your People Daily this morning. As we look at that, we are also looking matters further abroad. Moment of truth as U.S. goes to elections. U.S. presidential candidate right there and current sitting president, Donald Trump, facing stiff competition from Democratic candidate Joe Biden in a hotly contested election today. This story is on page 8 and 9 of your People Daily this morning. And as we look at that, mystery as wanted lawyer gives self up at ICC. Interesting turn of events right there. And that story is on page 14 of your People Daily today. You can get the details of all of that right there. But even as you look at the political ramifications of what is going on, even with the BBI process, there's also an issue of this second wave that is spreading right across the country. Lockdown dilemma facing the president. Health CS hints at tougher measures ahead of meeting, but will economy be shut down? That really is the question, even as the country tries to pick up the pieces from the last lockdown and the battering that the economy has taken. What options does the president have, and what option will he take as far as dealing with this particular pandemic is concerned? That is on page 4 and 5 of your People Daily this morning. Even as you look at that, there's the total cumulative number in terms of the cases of COVID-19. As of yesterday, they stand at 56,601. You can get the details of that as well on page 4 and 5 of your People Daily today. Let's look at the front page of the Daily Nation now. Here comes ICC trouble for DP Ruto, says the Daily Nation. When a lawyer, Bensouda, accuses of corrupting witnesses to withdraw from testifying in one of the Kenya cases, presented himself to Dutch authorities and asked to surrender to The Hague, which has a warrant out for him, it raised all manner of possibilities, some of them nightmarish. First, it might mean exactly nothing. He has nothing to trade on and he's merely putting his affairs in order. Or secondly, it may be that he has come to do a deal and turn on his erstwhile friends, principal among them, the deputy president. This is a story that is front and center in your copy of your Daily Nation. You can get the details of that particular story right there. And also, even as you look at that, how political rallies fuel COVID-19 surge, you can see the mammoth crowd at that particular position of your paper. And just talking about these particular issues in detail as we experience this second wave. That story is on page 8 and 9 of your Daily Nation today. Let's look at the front page of your Standard now. BBI door slams shut. Led by Uhuru and Raila, MPs say no to further changes in report. Team rolls out 224-day implementation plan to culminate in referendum by June. Collection of 1 million signatures to start. Ruto allies locked out of Naivasha retreat cry foul. Plan talks to chart way forward. This is a story that you can get on page 6 of your Standard today. And as you look at that, plan to recall more learners to school. Other students may be recalled to resume classes as early as next week as the government implements its phased reopening plan despite surging COVID-19 cases. And this is a question very many parents are asking as we see cases of the second wave around the world having lockdown measures being put in place. Will we have more students being taken back to school? That's a story that you can get on page 4 of your Standard today. Finally, the front page of the Star now. ICC, panic in Ruto camp as lawyer surrenders. DP was not acquitted and the judges agreed case could be revived with new evidence. That's a story that is covered in detail on page 4 and 5 of your Star. They're talking about the puzzle that needs to be solved. Paul Gishero gives himself up even after High Court quashed extradition. Why and why now is a question that's been asked. You can find that story in your copy of your Star on page 4 and 5. And even as we look at that, there's also a story on the betting industry. Finger pointing, they're calling it. Betting giant SportPesa rocked by boardroom wars. You can find the details of that particular story on page 2 of your Star this morning. So lots in there, even as we look at that. But right now, we're all talking about what might be the Naivasha discord. They went there, they hammered out a deal, they have the timeline for what they need to do up until June next year. But is everybody aboard this train, and how do they move forward and build more consensus? Is that even on the cards? That's a discussion we're having right here on the show. A very able panel to take us through this particular discussion. Welcome to K24 This Morning. And welcome back. And even as we get into this particular discussion, we also usually have a question of the day that we pose to you that you'll just give us your thoughts, your feedback, your sentiments on that as well. We'll be having that up on screen for you. There you go. Do you think Parliament will manage to build consensus for the BBI process? Do you think Parliament will manage to build a consensus for the BBI process even as it moves to the floor of Parliament, not only at the National Assembly and Senate, but also in county assemblies? How do these politicians actually build this consensus even as they move forward? Before I get to my panel and discuss all of this and much more, let's just look at some of the scenarios that we have at play. Now, over 220 senators and members of the National Assembly have agreed to back the Building Bridges Initiative report. The resolution was made yesterday afternoon at the end of a two-day retreat, which was presided by the President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga. The MPs agreed after the two leaders nodded to proposals to include CDF Kitty, Senators Oversight Fund, and representation of people living with disabilities in Parliament, among others. Justus Maina had this story.
The climax of the two-day parliamentarians' retreat in Naivasha reached Monday afternoon when President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga graced the occasion to whip the legislators to support the Building Bridges initiative in unison. In an indoor session where journalists and security detail were literally ejected, the MPs reportedly proposed to the two handshake partners to include their various concerns.
The report seeks to ensure that no one is left behind by creating shared prosperity. Shared prosperity means that all communities in Kenya, from all corners, have a share in the resources. Correct. On these issues and the fact that BBI stands for one nation, one country, we stand here today on behalf of the approximately 300 members of Parliament from both the National Assembly and the Senate to declare our total unwavering commitment to the BBI.
Yeah. The Senate got back its powers to oversight the county funds.
Once they distinguish those roles in the manner we have suggested, it's not just being an upper house. The Senate will clearly play an oversight role insofar as legislation is concerned, the National Assembly and the Executive. You will see very clear roles that we have proposed.
By providing for a strengthened oversight role for the Senate, but we have also provided for strengthened oversight role for the National Assembly, because when you provide for at least 35% to go to the counties, and a very sizable amount to go to the wards, which is almost coming to about 400 million per ward, then it means that you must strengthen the oversight role.
On the other side, people living with disability managed to get back the nomination seats representing them and agreed to support the BBI proposals.
I'm happy because Right Honorable Amolo Odinga was able to listen to us as representatives of persons with disabilities, and we are able to make the propositions that we had, myself and Senator Mwaura, and we talked to him about representation, and he was very positive that everyone will be included.
Leaders from high-populated constituencies will now have more representation in the National Assembly, benefiting from majority of the extra 70 MPs as proposed in the BBI report.
If Kenyans continue giving birth and the population continues increasing, it definitely means that resources continue increasing, and scrabble for the same resources also goes high. So it doesn't make sense, because we are giving birth. Kenyans, we have moved from 30 million to 50 million. Revenue has shifted by over 40%, and that demand for public utilities has gone up. And for that reason, I am so keen and very clear that let any Kenyan vote or any single person vote count in this country.
The roadmap to BBI referendum was clearly outlined in the closed-door meeting. The collection of signatures is expected to run from 2nd of November 2020 to 2nd of December 2020. The signatures will then be presented to IEBC between 2nd and 9th of December 2020, signatures which will then be verified between 10th of December 2020 and 10th of January next year. IEBC will then submit the bill to county assemblies between 11th and 18th of January 2021, which will be expected to approve the bill between 19th of January and 19th of February next year. Thereafter, Parliament will vote on the bill between 20th of February 2021 and 5th of April 2021. The big day will then be between 6th of April 2021 and 6th of June the same year, when IEBC will be expected to hold the BBI referendum.
We have no time. You can't do a referendum beyond August next year, according to the law, because of the timelines.
If the BBI passes, the President will assent to the constitutional amendments any day between 7th and 14th of June 2021.
BBI! Kenya moja! Na Kenya moja! BBI!
It's now all system go as members of Parliament agreed to back the BBI proposals to amend the Constitution, following a meeting with President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga. Justus Maina, K24, Naivasha.
Okay, thanks for that report. Give us a mind. Let me get to my panel in studio as I bring them into this particular discussion. Start by introductions. For the first time on the show, Andrew Kamili, political analyst, also the spokesman for Baraza la Vijana. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Asante sana.
I feel humbled.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
She's here every Tuesday, like clockwork. Thank you for making time to be on the show today. Joy Mdivo, Executive Director, East Africa Center for Law and Justice. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Asante sana. Joining the conversation via Skype, we have Justus Maina. He's a governance expert. Good morning, Justus.
Good morning, Jeff and team.
Karibu sana. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, let me jump right into it, because from what we are seeing, the tone and tenor of conversation we are hearing, it seems like no one can stop this train, Joy. From the way it's going, we have been told what will happen up until June, when it will be ascended and everything happens like clockwork. So it seems like the train has left the station, and we heard that a while back, and that at this particular point, we're just spectators in this process. Do you feel the same?
It's a yes and a no for me, because I think being involved with the process, I'm a little bit more aware of what is going on. So I'm not being taken by surprise by what is happening. But if you've listened to the politicians, to the leaders and other opinion leaders who are pro-BBI, the impression is very clear that what you have on the table is what we are working with. We are not working with another document. Please do not wait for BBI 3. That what we have on the table is what is being panel beaten in some areas, but there are some areas that are not going to be reopened, like the constitutional question. That one is sealed, but maybe we can talk about legislative inclusions. So, for example, you've seen the members of parliament who represent persons with disabilities. They've managed to get some wiggle room back from what had seemingly been removed. So we are seeing these little concessions being made, but the substratum remains the same. Now, what we saw coming out of Naivasha The first communication that came was the meeting in Naivasha will be done in 2 tranches because of COVID. And it is understandable that the first tranche that went were the ones who are very much in support, such that by the next time the next Great Rift Valley meeting is coming, as you say, the train has left the station. The horse has already bolted out of the cage. So when we are moving forward, I think one of the things that Kenyans need now to understand is, okay, because this process is not being stopped, it's on the railroads and it has started, how then do I engage? Do I want to just passively look at it? Do I want to get invested in it? Is it not my monkey? Let the ones who are dealing, it's not my circus, so it's not my monkey. Now Kenyans have to make the decision at what level do they want to engage. But in terms of the process moving forward, I think that is already water under the bridge.
Right. And let's talk about that particular Great Rift Valley meeting, the Naivasha meeting that took place, Andrew, because Amos Kimunya was also asked by our very own Giverson, as you called all of these leaders, there are some who are conspicuously missing. The Deputy President, for instance, was not there. Amos said that he's not a member of parliament. That's why we didn't invite him here. Some people thought that this was less than sincere because he has some grave issues that he feels need to be addressed before we even take this on the road.
Really, I don't understand what inclusivity means when really we have to define it based on the boundaries set by specific politicians. Inclusivity, in my view, is just basically the approval of the general public. So if this process had been done through a whole 4 months, 6 months, I mean, and everybody was given a chance to speak and share their views, from teachers to all sectors of the economy. And the Deputy President was given a chance as well. Even in fact, he declined the invitation. But he went to Chatham Hall and talked, properly and comprehensively about what he wanted involved included in the report. This has been considered entirely. And really, I don't understand why at this point now he changed his tune and now wants to disparage a process that he was, quasi part of. I would in fact, ask the Deputy President to join the trend from within right now and change whatever he feels needs to be changed from within, not disparaging a process that he was invited to be part of, but decided to decline that invitation. The President himself called out the Deputy President during the launch of the BBI at Bomas and said that even in the picking of the task force, the Deputy President was part and parcel. So really, I don't understand why the Deputy President would want to step aside and disparage a process from outside. Right. If he were honest, or if really he wanted to change this country as he claims, then he should have talked to the President, who, by all standards, is his boss, and ask him to be part of the process and change everything from within. Right. Yeah.
Let me get Justus in on this one, because even as it stands, they'll go and get these particular signatures, but some people are saying, qua ground, vitu ni different, Yes, we might see the political class in Naivasha agreeing to go in a certain direction, but is the ground ready? Is the electorate ready for this? And are they receptive to this BBI gospel that will be preached soon?
Thank you. Basically, this is a politician-driven process. I think for the very first time, and remember for the 2010 Constitution, it was majorly a process that was driven by the civil society and many other actors, including the religious leaders, private sector players. But I think this BBI-driven process is an exclusive club. It is a game being exclusively played by the big boys. It is a process that is exclusively driven by the President and Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. And you have just heard that when somebody complained to Raila Odinga was able, he's the only one who is able to open. We were instructed that this document cannot be opened. But remember, Mwaura and somebody else talked to Raila, and magically, the document was opened. So in the narrative of whether the ground is ready for the BBI, I think there are regions in this country, to be honest, that may be very ready and willing to support the BBI, because in some areas of this region, people do not support the BBI. They support the kingpin behind the BBI. And there are also areas in this country which are basically reluctant to support the BBI because the kingpin of that particular region is himself reluctant to support the BBI. So I cannot generally say the ground is ready or not ready. It depends on which region and area of the country you are talking about. And basically, it is easy for these, the BBI brigade to marshal the 1 million signatures. That is easy. They can even get that in Nairobi. They can get that in Kisumu, Nakuru, these major towns. So generally, the first hurdle as to whether they will they'll be able to get the 1 million signatures, I have no doubt they will. But whether if we come to June or April and we were meant to vote for this document, that is debatable as to whether the Kenyans are ready and entirely be able to support the BBI document. I have my own suspicion and reservation as to whether really this document were to go to the popular route, get the support of the majority of Kenyans, meaning 50, most likely 50% or above.
Okay, Justus, even before I get back to studio quickly, even before they get to the population for the referendum, there's that small issue of the county assemblies there, and we saw what happened with the Punguza Mzigo bill. Do you think it will also be home and dry in that particular session, that the county assemblies will approve very quickly and make light work of this?
Yes. You see, this document, what the BBI are trying to push is to create the big five position. But they're also smart. They have put in some icing on the cake, some sweeteners. Some of the sweeteners are the Ward Development Fund. So the MCAs, if you were to talk to most of the MCAs, they are very excited. So for me, I have no doubt that the county assemblies will be more than willing to pass this document, because these are political documents, and the drafters of this document were very wise, and they knew that why to go through the county assemblies. They were able to put in the sweeteners, and there are a number of sweeteners, including the suggestion that some of the MCAs would be the county executive members. So there are a lot of sweeteners for the MCAs. So I have no doubt absolutely that this document will go through the county assemblies.
Joy, I'll come to you. Even as it gets to a break, we have 3 minutes before our first break. We have a deputy president who's spoken about his reservations severally on what needs to be done. He likes the document, but he still feels some things need to be changed so we don't have this contested referendum. What options does he have left now that we are out of Naivasha and the timeline has been set and we're looking at June as when this is all done and dusted?
Well, if he's serious, he does not want a contested referendum. One of the things he could do is just, as has been suggested in studio, is join the bandwagon. Just said, you know what, this wasn't my idea to begin with. Why am I even getting involved in trying to tear it down? It's somebody else's idea. It's somebody else's effort. They have worked hard to get here. Of what benefit is it to him, really, to demolish it? And there's somebody who said, if the proposals even pass as they are, and he is running for president and is successful in that quest, then he might end up being the biggest beneficiary of this, this entire discourse. So if I was sitting in the deputy president's camp, I'd be thinking to myself, you know what, exactly what do I gain by being the grand leader of the no campaign? Because if any indications that are coming out of Naivasha, anything to go by, it seems like if you come with a credible enough dispute about what is in the BBI, there is room to accommodate you. So you might start out in the no with a bunch of people, but by the time you're getting to the tape, people have been given their little sweeteners here and there, they've been incentivized, and you remain left by yourself. So if I were him, I'd be doing the math of, is this something that I really want? But that gainsaid, I must go back to the point about the BBI being not just about the constitutional question. There's plenty of legislation that is being passed, plenty of policy issues that are being addressed, plenty of administrative issues that are being addressed. And I think sometimes Kenyans become a bit lazy. You don't want to read the nitty-gritty. You just want to see the ramzatas of the big picture. There's plenty more to be gleaned out of this, and that's why it is important for people to actually take the initiative to try and read it, even if you can't read the whole document. There's these little snippets that are being released of what is in the document. Just try and see, is there something that's of interest to you? Why this is important is because if the process goes through, as has been started, and I agree with Justus, if you look at a popular initiative, you might imagine that it would get stuck at the county assembly, or it might get stuck at the National Assembly, or it may get stuck at the Senate. But the way the law is crafted, all it needs to, the hurdle that they need to jump is at the county assembly. Once it gets to the National Assembly and the Senate, if either house fails to pass it, it just goes to referendum. Some of the proposals by Article 255 must go to referendum anyway. If you're affecting the composition of the presidency, if you're affecting the judiciary independence, if you are affecting the composition of the legislature, if you're touching on the Bill of Rights, and in the proposals, there's a little bit of all those things. So a referendum is inevitable. Be that as it may, then it needs, Kenyans need to find out, okay, what else is of benefit in there, and now ensure that those pass. So for example, youth, you've been told about the story of the tax holiday. You may think it's useful, you may not think it's useful, but are you looking out to ensure that the tax laws are being amended to ensure that that passes? Because you know, you can get caught up in all these things, and what you're calling sweeteners don't actually get passed, and those ones at legislative level, they'll never make it to the constitutional question. So I wish Kenyans would unpack the entire document. There are things that we're talking about, like the national ethos or shared prosperity, or you're even talking about rewriting our history and appreciating our history more. Some of those things don't even need to go anywhere. It's a matter of a paradigm shift for Kenyans. So I would that Kenyans would just take the initiative, find out what is in this document, discuss it without the politics, because what Justus is saying is true. People are not pro-BBI because they know what's in the document. Most people are pro-BBI or anti-BBI based on which principle is deemed to be on which side. If we divest ourselves of that, we might find, but actually, you know what? There's some of these things, if they actually do pass, would be of benefit to us, or this one, this is dangerous, we need to fight this. Okay, I want to take a short break at this particular point in time. Of course, after the break, we want to hear from you as well. As far as this is concerned, a question of the day will be up, and you can give us your feedback on that. If you haven't gotten yourself a copy of your PD, you can get it straight to your phone. It's all courtesy of the People Daily and Safaricom. The convenience about it is the fact that you don't even need any data, you don't need any mobile app for your phone, and you can get this regardless of where you are, right across the country. It's all brought to you by the People Daily and Safaricom. The number that you dial is *550*4#. Once again, the number is *550*4#. Brings us to our first break on the show. Back with more. This is K24 This Morning.